Hey, so in class, we put a chair into a room and we made a little shadow underneath it to make it look like it belonged there. You may have found today's class a little speedy, so I'm going to try and make a quick video on how exactly we did what we did. As you recall, we were looking at, oh man, a whack of possible selection methods. We looked at lasso tool, magnetic lasso tool, the polygonal lasso tool. We looked at the magic wand, we looked at object selection, we looked at quick selection. I prefer, me myself, to use the pen tool and to draw a path around the whole darn thing. And then, as you know, with the pen tool, I can click my command key, control on the PC, and get these points back up again, and then go, I'm going to edit those points until I'm a very happy clam and get everything exactly the way I want it to be. Once I am a happy clam, then what I can do is make a selection of this particular path. So there I am in the path menu, my chair path is selected, and under this little baby right here, I can say, make me a selection. And it says, how feathered do you want that? How many edges, how many pixels on the edge do you want to just kind of blur? And I'll say 2 pixels. Sure, that's fine. It's not too soft, it's not too hard. I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to go to floor.jpg and paste that in there. Perfect. Kind of big. Command T gets me my free transform menu. I'll shrink that down until it's, kind of a more plausible size to be in that space. Great. Now I'm going to get into my layers menu. You'll notice I've got a couple of extra layers here, but let's pretend we only have the two, the floor and the chair. So what I want to do in this is to get a shape that's the same shape as the chair that I can make into a shadow and then squash it. So what I'm going to use is the magic wand tool. This is so cool. On layer 3, where my chair is, if I click there in the background, sorry, that's still not 100%. Click on the background, what I get is the not chair. And now what I can do is inverse that selection, select inverse. Now I have the chair. I have the shape of the chair. I can even turn that layer off and say I still have the shape of the chair, my dancing ants. So what I'm going to do is in the layers menu, come down here to the hamburger menu and say, give me a new layer. I'm going to make a shadow layer. In fact, I'll even call it shadow. There we are. And now what I'm going to do with that layer is fill that space, that chair shape, that's hard to say, with 50% gray. Okay, looks like poo, looks like gray spray paint. Because the shadow layer is set to normal right here. This is blending modes. So when I ask you to say, edit the blending modes of your layers, this is what I'm talking about. We can darken it, we can multiply it, we can color burn it, we can linear, we can look at all these crazy things. Some of them, and depending on what it is that you're doing, will be more significant than others. But have some fun playing around inside that menu. I'm going to use multiply because it looks like it's transparent to the background, just like a shadow would be. Okay, the other thing I'm going to do is probably lower the opacity of that a little bit. I find it a little bit dark, so maybe we'll come down here into the 70s somewhere. Okay, cool. Now I'm turning my chair back on. So now I've got my chair sitting directly on top of the shadow. In fact, I got my shadow sitting directly on top of the chair. See how these two are related? I want to put the shadow underneath the chair. So just drag that layer, grab a hold of it, drag it down, and you can reorder the way that the layers work. So now the shadow is transparent to the floor underneath it, but the chair layer here, is still normal, so it's opaque. That's what we want. Now I'm going to do 2 things to that shadow. I'm going to squash it down so it looks like it's laying on the floor, and I'm going to blur it so it doesn't look so sharp and harsh. Okay, let's do that. I'm on layer shadow. I'm going to Command T again. What Command T does is give me free transform tools. We used it earlier to scale the chair, but now if I hold down the Control key or the command on a Mac, I can get this happening and squash that shadow down so that it looks like it's laying on the floor. So this is a little bit of an art form. You kind of have to eyeball it and go, well, I want the legs to look as though the shadow is coming off the legs here, but I also want that to look like it's flattened down and kind of squashed. So, be kind of, inventive here and try to get that to look more or less accurate. Hit the return key to say, yes, I'm happy with that one. Deselect, so now my whole shadow isn't selected. And now on that layer, the shadow layer, I'm going to go up to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. Thank you, Gauss, for coming up with this trick. You see it gives me a preview here of what that's going to look like. The preview button is selected. And so it tells me that's kind of what you've got. 15 pixels does that. 10 pixels looks like that. I can choose how I want that to look. So that's basically how we did put the chair into the room, make a shadow, drop it on the floor, squash it, and then blend it, blur it in so that it looks like it's correct. So hopefully that is helpful to you. I would be happy to make a video for you if you find yourself going, I'm still stuck. Okay, see you.